Today we're going to solve a second degree polynomial, otherwise known as a quadratic equation. So let's say we have the equation. Let's see, we have f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. This is our second degree polynomial, and what makes this a second degree polynomial is that our variable is raised to the second power here. That is a 2. So we want to solve this thing, and we would also like to graph it as well. And we all know that the graph, let's say I have a basic x squared is a basic parabola that looks like this. And so yeah, but we're not dealing with x squared, we're dealing with x squared plus 5x plus 6. So we want to solve this thing in the form of x plus a, where a is a real number, and x plus b, where b is a real number. And we're going to solve this thing first. Well, let's see what this, when we FOIL this out, the x times these two terms and the a times these two terms, like we covered in our previous video. So when we do that, we get x squared plus ax plus bx plus a times b. And we can factor out an x out of these two middle terms because it's common, so we would have x squared plus x times a plus b plus a times b. So this is the form that we want to get it into. So how are we going to do this? Well, first we are going to have to notice that this term right here, this 5 term, corresponds to this a plus b over here. And we have this 6 right here corresponds to this a times b. So what we'll need to do is we need to write down the factors of 6 here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 6. These are all the terms that will multiply evenly into 6. And what we also need to do, we'll write down here, is a plus b equals our 5. Like we said over here, we have our 5 equals, or corresponds to this a plus b, so that's why we're doing it over here. A plus b equals 5. And like we said, a times b equals our 6. So, using these two terms, 2 of these terms have to add up to 5. So let's say we use 1 and 2. Well, a plus b equals 5. 1 plus 2 does not equal 5. So these two terms together would not work. How about 2 and 3? 2 plus 3 equals 5. 2 times 3 equals 6, so we're good. So we'll just come down right here, x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3 is equal to 0. And that is the solved version of it. This is factored out using FOIL. Like I said, we covered in the previous lesson. Now let's say when graphing this thing, we'll put a graph over here. So this is f of x right here, and this is our x-axis. Now, for every input of x, we get an output of f of x. So let's say if we, let's say we set x equal to 0. we set x equal to 0. So wherever there's an x, we have 0. So 0 squared is 0. 0 times 5 is 0. And what are we left with? F of x equals 6. Okay. Now, let's just imagine, we'll say 6 is about right there. Now, we also want to know a couple other things. Where does this parabola, like we said right here, where does it cross the x-axis? And we can find this out by setting these two terms equal to 0. So x plus 2 equal to 0. Now we just subtract 2 from both sides, and we have x equal to negative 2. So there's a, it crosses the x-axis at negative 2. So we'll just make a little tick mark there. And we do the same with x plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3 from both sides. And we have x equals negative 3. So, come over to our graph and we'll say negative 3 is about right there. So this graph is going to come down, cross around there, and intersect right there, and then head on up to infinity on both sides. So we have our cross sections on our x-axis here, and we have our y-intercept here on our y-axis here as well. And yeah, that is how you graph a polynomial equation, otherwise known as a quadratic equation. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.